Hello, everybody. Are you ready to sleep? I'm going to tell you a story, and you can sleep to the story today. Parents, I'm going to read one story from a book, and I'm going to read the story 2 times, and then I will play a song also. Also, when the story starts, your little children, they don't have to look at the screen. They can place it on the side and they can listen to the story, and then they can go to sleep. And I will tell the story 2 times. Are you ready? We'll lie down. Super. And let's see what story I have for you today. Okay. Lights off. Abracadabra. Haha. Let's see what we have right now. Okay. I have taken a book called the Jataka Tales. So this Jataka Tales is done by Tanu Books, and this has very interesting stories, and I'm going to share one of these stories. The story is called The Golden Deer. This was one of my favorite stories when I was very small. The story goes like this. Once there was a rich merchant in the holy city of Banaras. He had a wife and a son named Mahadanaka. The son was an unworthy and wasteful person. When the parents died, he spent all his father's hard-earned wealth in gambling and merrymaking. A band of useless cronies gathered around him and helped him in his speedy downfall. A day soon came when he was deeply in debt. His creditors started pestering him, but there was no way to pay them back. The creditors now troubled him day and night. At last he thought of a plan. He called all his creditors at the bank of the Ganga the next morning. He told them that his father had hidden a treasure on the Ganga bank. The next morning, they all met at the Ganga bank. The creditors were full of joy at the thought of getting their money back. But suddenly, Mahadanaka, instead of paying them their money, jumped into the deep waters of the Ganga. He knew that he could never pay them back. So he had decided to end his life thus. The current bore him swiftly away from their sight. Disappointed, they all went back to their homes. A long distance away, there was a bend in the river. Alongside the bend, there was a beautiful and rich grove of trees. In this grove lived a splendid looking golden deer. Its skin shone like gold. As Mahadanaka, carried by the strong current, neared the bend, the bear who was grazing the soft grasses on the bank saw him struggling in the water. His heart was moved by his plight. He jumped into the river and, swimming strongly, reached the drowning man. Then he put him on his back and brought him safely back to the bank. There he nursed him till he was all right. After that he led him out of the woods and showed him the way to Banaras. While parting, the deer asked Mahadanaka not to reveal about the existence of his whereabouts to anyone. Otherwise, they might try to catch him. Now here in Banaras, the Queen Kima had a dream about the golden deer with a human voice. She wanted to have the deer. She told of her desire to the king. The king loved the queen dearly. He promised to get her the deer if such a deer existed. The king announced a big reward for anyone who would give him the news of the golden deer. Hunters spread all over in search of the deer. Mahadanaka, who was returning to Banaras, met some of these hunters. When he learned from them that they were looking for the golden deer and that there was a reward for the person who would lead them to the deer, he told them that he knew about the deer. The king was informed. He, accompanied by his soldiers, hunters and courtiers, started for the secluded forest grove. When they neared the place, Mahadanaka pointed out the grove to the king. The king's men immediately surrounded it. The deer was resting under a tree. When he heard the noise of the soldiers and hunters, he got up. He saw that he was surrounded by on all sides. Some distance away, in front of him, stood the king with his companions. He had his bow and arrow ready to shoot him. The deer immediately decided to approach the king. Asking loudly not to release the arrow, the deer ran up to him. At his human speech, the astonished king lowered his bow. Approaching the king surrounded by his courtiers, the deer requested him to tell him who had informed him about his existence. The king pointed his finger towards Mahadanaka, who was standing near him. The deer turned to him reproachfully and said, "Pulling a log out of the river would have been better than rescuing such a person as you." The king asked the deer what wrong the man had done to him. The deer replied, "My lord, I saved this man's life when he was drowning. I nursed him and set him on the way to Banaras. My only request to him was not to inform anybody about me. See how this ungrateful man has repaid me." The king was furious at the man's treachery. He wanted to kill him, but the kind-hearted deer persuaded the king to spare his life and to send him away with the money offered as reward. The king turned to Mahadanaka saying, "You wretch, see this noble deer paying you back with mercy and kindness for your ungratefulness. Go away from here and never show your face in my kingdom." Mahadanaka took the reward and vanished into the forest. No one ever saw him. Now I'm going to tell the same story without the book from my memory. And this is the time when you really close your eyes and listen to this story. Okay. Once upon a time, there was this rich and successful merchant. And this merchant had this son called Mahadanaka. And suddenly one day this merchant got ill and he died. And you know what happened to Mahadanaka after that? He didn't know how to manage money. He started spending all of his monies, and he had his own friends, and those friends came there, spent all his monies, and suddenly he was broke. Now he needs more money, right? So he went and asked other people, and all of them gave him money because he was already rich. And then finally they found that this money is also not coming back. So all these people came back and asked him, "Hey, give me the money, give me the money, give me the money." And this fellow, he could not stand it anymore because he didn't have the money. He thought money will come from somewhere, but he didn't have the money. That day he had an idea and he said, "All of you, come, I have a treasure near the Ganges inside the forest. I will get it and give it to you because my dad put a treasure there." So he took all of them there. They were all happy thinking that we will get our money back. But suddenly this fellow jumped into Ganges and he ran he swam. He didn't swim actually. He just went off with the water. One place, there was one small bend where he had to hit and go the other side, where there was a golden deer. This golden deer suddenly jumped into the river, rescued this fellow, did all that this fellow needed, and finally when he finished, he said, "Go out into your city, but don't tell anybody about me." He said okay, and he came when suddenly he saw that the king had announced a reward for whoever gives him details about where this golden deer is. Why? Because his queen had seen a dream of a golden deer that can speak like a human being. This fellow immediately went to the king and said, "I know where it is, come with me." And he took everybody there. This golden deer was sleeping peacefully at one place, and suddenly all kings and soldiers and everybody came around the golden deer. So the golden deer had an idea. He said, "Don't kill me, I want to talk to the king." So he went and spoke to the king and asked, "Who gave you this idea?" And he said, this boy here. And he said, "Instead of rescuing you, I could have rescued one log of wood." And the king asked, "Why? What happened?" And he said, "You know what, my dear king, I saved him, I nursed him, and I did everything to him. And the only thing I asked out of him was to not tell anybody about my existence. But this fellow told." And the king got really angry. "Such an unfaithful person in my kingdom." And he said, "I'm going to punish you." The golden deer said, "No, king, you have promised a reward." Give him that reward, let him go, and please let me go too, because I want to live in the jungle and in the forest. And the king gave him the money and said, get away from here, never ever look at me, come in front of me. And this fellow got that prize money and went away, and nobody ever saw him. This golden deer was there, was helping a lot of people, and he lived a very, very peaceful life. Are you ready to sleep? I'm going to play this music now, and while I play this music, you're going to sleep. Have a very, very peaceful sleep. Have a long sleep till the morning, because we're all at home. Your parents are super tired. You guys have to get up early in the morning tomorrow and have a blast. So we need to wake up healthy, wake up happy. So this is the time for us to go to sleep really. Have a good sleep. Good night. Sweet dreams to you. Sweet dreams to your parents. Good night. Take care.
Rock-a-bye baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. But mother will catch you, cradle and all. Baby is drowsy, cozy and fair. Mother sits near.